What's going on, guys? Vulkan here, and today we have some brand new information about Nightingale. So for those of you who are kind of out of the loop, Nightingale was a game that was revealed at the Game Awards, well, late last year. I can't believe it's 2022 already. So late last year, Nightingale was revealed as a shared world survival game, one where you can see other people out and about in the world, you can party up with them. There are some survival elements, survival crafting elements. The big game they're being compared to is Valheim. So you have that one that you can kind of use as a point of reference. Now this one is being developed by Inflexion Games, which is made up of a bunch of people that used to work at Bioware, and they worked on games like Mass Effect. So there's a lot of storytelling and world building firepower on this team, and that's what Nightingale is kind of counting on. So there was a recent interview with Games Radar for Nightingale they had with Flynn, who is the, I believe, CEO and founder of Inflexion Games. So we learned quite a few new things in here. Let's go ahead and break these down. So first up, what we learned was that humans in the game have been opening portals and attempting to explore the realms of the Fae for hundreds of years. Now, at the start of the game, Nightingale, something happens and then we're stranded in one of those realms. We don't really know what happened or why we're stranded. We just know the portal network shut off, it's broken, and we have to repair and open portals in order to leap from realm to realm to get back to the city of Nightingale. But here's the thing, right? So after reaching the city, that's not the end of the game. It's only a key milestone, and you can reach it by playing alone or grouping up with others, because remember, this is a shared world game. There are some challenges that you will need to bring other people with you to complete, such as world bosses, which we'll get to here in a little bit, but you can play the full game alone if you want to. You don't have to group up with other people, and honestly, I foresee a lot of people doing that in order to, like, you know, do like a personal challenge or something. I beat the whole thing by myself. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how many people end up completing it and how many people end up grouping up. Now, we also learned that our first step in the game is to establish our estate, which is our base camp. And they did give us some additional insight about how players explore and progress. So they want players to have the freedom and the ability to explore multiple realms without the feeling of being pushed in a certain direction. Like, I have to go to this realm in order to do something that will then progress the story. Like, I have to, and I can't do anything else because this is overly important. They didn't want to have that kind of feeling. That being said, right, there are some things that you will need to go do, and there will be only certain places that you can find those things. For instance, you can't find everything you need in your starting realm to upgrade your estate, to repair portals, to upgrade your tools. That's just not something that's going to happen. So you have to repair portals to access other realms to then get materials and then bring those back to upgrade your estate. So there is a slight kind of order of events that has to happen. Now, they also confirmed that there will be some form of progression for tools, items, and areas that you'll be able to access at the start. And then some of these will unlock at a later point in time. So, for instance, they want players to feel like they have all of the tools necessary to play the game, but still have a carrot to chase, right? Whether that's a better tool to do the same job more efficiently, or a new tool that'll give you access to something that you might have seen out and about. The best example for this that I can think of in my head, right, is being able to mine copper, and then at some point being able to mine like mithril, for instance. You need to have a certain pickaxe, a certain level of tool in order to access higher level or higher rarity of materials. So that's kind of the best example I can think of. But they were talking about how these tools are needed to unlock new portals and repair damaged items. So they will unlock over time, and then once they do, you'll also gain new abilities. Now, they didn't go into detail, but it was nice to hear that there is some form of layering that's going to take place and give those players something to work towards. Hopefully there's a lot that we can actually go out and do, and a lot of different carrots that we can chase after, because I'm really hoping it's not like, here's these 5 tools and you just upgrade them, and then next thing you know, they're all upgraded and you have access to everything. I'm hoping it's more like the RuneScape path, where you have so many different skills that you can work on for such a long period of time. Now, just to kind of work a little bit into the story. So they did confirm that we as players, we are not adept magic users. Magic is still a very mysterious and powerful aspect of Nightingale. It is held closely by a certain and specific few, but there will be ways for us to invest and develop our magical powers. So don't expect to like start and immediately be able to like shoot fireballs and cast lightning from your fingertips. You're not gonna be able to do that type of stuff. However, we will be able to invest and slowly build up our magic knowledge, which will then be used to play the game and unlock certain other things. Now, I talked about this a little bit in the beginning about how this studio is made up of a bunch of former Bioware people. And when you think Bioware, classic Bioware, you think world building, you think story, you think this narrative experience that is game of the year worthy. Now, this is something that they're trying to focus on and inject into Nightingale that'll separate it from the other shared world games out there. So world building is going to be a huge focus for the studio. They're going to be trying to create a unique experience for players within Nightingale. And they want to mix this up with that survival crafting element to take this whole genre to the next level. They stated that up until this point, there's been a bunch of indie studios making these games, right? You have Valheim, and they have made incredible accomplishments, right? These are fantastic games for smaller studios, but they're planning to take advantage of their team of over 100 employees and then all of that knowledge of RPGs to really deliver something special. Now, speaking of the worlds within Nightingale, they weren't able to confirm that the worlds themselves would be procedurally generated or not. But they did confirm that we've only seen 3 of the biomes and we'll have many, many more to search through. Now, these biomes are going to be different based upon their look, but also the environments that we'll have access to will impact the way we play. And this sounds a lot like Remnant from the Ashes and all of the different realms that we visited in that game. The enemies were different, the hazards were different, the visuals were incredibly unique and different. And I loved the surprise of seeing what the next world looked like and then what type of creatures we would be fighting against. So I'm really hoping that Nightingale takes that kind of overall experience and then stretches it out across multiple realms that we'll then be able to explore. Now, within all of these different worlds are NPCs that will hand out quests, and it's up to us to find them. Typically, they're going to be lost citizens who need your help, and they're going to provide kind of different opportunities to build new estates at their location. So you don't have to have your starting estate in that one realm and then leave that one there and that's your only one. You can build new estates in different realms. That's something that you can do. You just have to build your first one in your first realm and then go through a portal. You end up somewhere you really like. You're like, man, this would be a great, home base. Awesome. Build an estate there, craft it, get it going. Now, the interesting thing that we've seen with these worlds are meaningful interactions, and these happen with different creatures. So in the trailer, we saw a giant, and you can offer to help them and then gain their trust, or you can try to deal with them with force, ultimately ending in a fight, and you can see the giant kind of rampaging through their estate, destroying a bunch of stuff. So it's really cool, and it's really up to the player, and that's something that they wanted to focus on is you're going to have all of these meaningful interactions, and you can choose to handle them different ways, but those different ways will lead to different consequences. So maybe if you take the passive way with the giant, you end up upsetting a different race of creatures that will then cause problems for you down the road. I'm not entirely sure, but that's something that they did point out. Now you have other interactions with things like this huge beast at the end of the trailer. We learned that its name is Ishmael, and we can either fight it or run from it. This is kind of going to that world boss type of encounter where talking about, gathering up other players, creating a big hunting party, and maybe chasing down to hunt down Ishmael, because I guarantee you that creature has some super rare materials or some really good loot that drops from it because it just looks like it has that. I mean, it just has that like look to it, So, but that's something that you can kind of go through and figure out. Do you want to run for now? Do you want to fight? And again, consequences come with both of those outcomes. Now, lastly, they talked about combat and how it works in Nightingale. Now, so you're going to have the option to change loadouts, learn different combat techniques, and link up with other players to take on challenges like we just referenced with Ishmael. Now, they don't want the full game to be combat focused, so expect to see some opportunities to resolve things peacefully like we spoke about with the giant. So it's not just run and gun all the time, grenades, Michael Bay, explosions. It's going to be negotiations, peaceful peaceful outcomes. It's going to be forceful outcomes. So you're going to have kind of a good mix for Nightingale. So that is everything we learned about Nightingale from the Game Radar interview. Now, Nightingale will enter early access testing in 2022 on PC, and it will be launching sometime this year as well. If you want to sign up for early access testing, go to the link in the description below. You can sign up there. Also, the full interview with kind of all of the nitty-gritty details is also available in a link in the description below as well. So everyone, what do you guys think about Nightingale? Is this one that's on your list? Is this going to be a skip for you? I want to hear more. Let's talk about it in the comment section below. But as always, thank you so much for listening. This has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you next time.
Sound off one and all that